we're going to start by each introducing ourselves. So, Caitlin, you can go first.
Okay, hi, my name is Caitlin.
Caitlin, you muted yourself.
Oh, crud. Okay, I got it this time, sorry. I thought we were supposed to be muted still. Okay, so I'm a third-year psychology major with a minor in communication. I'm from Nahant, Massachusetts, and my fun fact is that I'm going to Australia next semester.
Whoa, that's cool.
I'll go next. Hi, everyone. I'm Kirby McThompson. I'm a senior business administration major from Austin, Texas. I'm your SGA president this year, and my fun fact is that I chose Champlain by throwing a dart at a map.
Classic. I'm Molly McGee. My name rhymes with where I'm from, Nashville, Tennessee. It's horrible. Don't remind me. I'm a professional writing major, a senior. I run Shiva Mingra, which is our college's nonfiction and satire publication, and my fun fact is not that fun. I wear bifocals. Will, you go next?
Or Will. Either one.
Okay, hi, sorry. My name is Will Lanthier. I am a sophomore public relations major, and my fun fact is I didn't know how to ride a bike until I was 14 years old.
Nice.
Cool.
Silas?
Hi, everyone. I'm Silas. I'm a sophomore marketing major from High Falls, New York. My fun fact is I never go a day without coffee.
And my name is Paige. I am a senior management of creative media major with a specialization in publishing from East Hampton, Massachusetts. And my fun fact is that I've been on the Champlain College dance team for 3 years.
Cool.
So, hooray. So we're going to get started answering some questions now. So Caitlin, if you want to take the first two questions. So these are some of the questions that we collected before the live chat. So the first two questions, the first whole section is going to kind of center around res life and the residence halls and things regarding that. So the first two questions are, will I know what my room looks like before I get there, and are all of the residence halls co-ed?
So all of the residence halls are co-ed. As far as knowing what your room looks like before you get here, when you come to campus for a tour, we typically show you an upper class residence hall as well as a first year residence hall, and so you get a taste of what the rooms look like as far as every individual hall. We do have a Flickr account so you can see some of the different rooms in all of the residence halls, so that will give you a feel for it, but since every room isn't the same, it's kind of a surprise when you get here on move-in day.
Yeah.
Yes.
Good answer. So, Kirby, if you want to answer the next resident life question, since I know that you've been an RA in the past. So if a student has a fight with their roommate and it ends up making the living situation uncomfortable, how do you as the RA or how does Res Life kind of address the situation, and what kind of actions are taken?
So what happens when there's a living situation, we ask that the residents come to the RA and have a chat with us. We often are right there living with you, so we can either help you or we can direct you to the correct people. So what we would do is we would contact our supervisors and they would get in touch with the directors, and then we'd help find an open living space on campus for you or your roommate to move into, depending on the situation. And with Champlain having an open move policy, it tends to work out in everyone's favor.
All right. So the next question is about housing registration. So I guess really anyone who has experience with housing registration can answer this question. So basically, just after your first year, how do you register? How do you register for different residence halls, and who has priority? Different things like that. So anyone can kind of bite the bullet here.
I'll grab it so we follow order.
Perfect.
So your priority number is basically assigned based on your classes that you've taken, your credits. So the more credits you have, is it low? I think it's lower priority number you have, so it's like the better priority number. So your seniors, like myself, are going to have a better priority number because we've taken more classes than, say, first years. There's a couple different types of housing options, and they're split up based on credit numbers. So your sophomore housing is a certain number of credits. That's a prerequisite. So your like juniors and seniors can't live in sophomore housing, and it's mostly on the quad area. Whereas your upperclassmen housing, like Boardman, where I am currently, is it's kind of competitive. So you have to have a lower priority number to get into. It is all very streamlined. The res life staff does a great job at managing it, so it is a little bit stressful because you're like, housing, but they take care of everything, so you don't really need to be worrying about it until next semester. So I admire your forethought. I'm the same way.
So I'm actually going to go back to R.A. Kirby for the next few questions.
No problem.
So the first question is about curfew. Are there any curfews? And in the same kind of vein, what is the guest policy? How long can you have guests? And basically just what are the rules involving guests and curfews?
Okay, so tackling the curfew issue, unlike a lot of campuses, we have our own individual residence halls, and each one is for the specific people of that hall. And with that, that means that there are no curfews. You don't have to check in at an admissions desk or a RA desk or anything like that. And then as far as guest policy, if you have a single, it's going to be slightly different, but most first years will have roommates, which is a good thing. And with that, you'll work on a roommate agreement within the first week or two of living on Champlain. And we ask that it's a 3-day max. However, there are special circumstances where you might have a guest up visiting or something along those lines, and you just need to work that out ahead of time with your roommate and make sure that there's everyone's okay with it. And I'd even talk to your RA if you know it is going to be an extended period of time. However, don't have someone living with you all the time because it drives everyone crazy and it's awkward.
All right.
So
so I guess we'll go back to going in order now. So Silas, if you want to answer, is what kind of are our policies regarding alcohol and substance uses? How do we enforce those rules? That kind of thing.
Of course. So Champlain is a dry campus, so that means that there are no alcohol, any type of drugs allowed on our campus. Even for those students who are of legal age to consume drugs or alcohol, they cannot do so on in any of our campus buildings, any of our residence halls. It is not permitted. So that is enforced through a combination of methods. One of the foremost things, your RA is there as a resource for you, but they will also be making sure that that is enforced. So we want to make sure that that's not happening in our residence halls. Additionally, we have our area coordinators, area directors, lots of people in res life looking out for you and making sure those rules are enforced. And of course, we have our campus public safety team, and they're always looking out for that stuff as well. So it isn't permitted on our campus. That being said, if you or you know someone who had maybe issues with alcohol or substance abuse in the past, we have a really great counseling center who can help you with issues such as alcohol abuse, drug abuse, things like that. So if you do come here and you have those types of things, the counseling center is a really great resource if you wanted to talk to someone about those types of things. But in short, it's not allowed at Champlain, especially not in any of our residence halls. That's basically the gist of it. If I missed anything, feel free to add in.
Good answer. So, Will, if you want to answer, what are the bathrooms like in the residence halls? And what is provided in the rooms? And do you think that they need to bring any extra furniture in addition to what's provided?
Yeah, absolutely. So each res hall is different in its own characteristics. But I lived in Rowell Hall my first year, and I'm now living in Butler, which is an upper class dorm. I would say all the bathrooms on Champlain campus are pretty standard. I mean, Bring your shower shoes. It's college. It's nothing crazy. But they're kept clean every day. They're cleaned every morning. They're not cleaned on the weekend, so that is something to take into consideration. But other than that, and it's pretty standard what you'd expect. Each student is given a bed, a desk, a chair. Am I forgetting anything? And a dresser, yes. So you don't really need to bring anything else, I find. You can always bring stuff if you're close by, but other than that, I think you're all set with that.
I wouldn't get furniture until you moved in. Because,
Yeah, totally.
Like Kirby and Caitlin were talking about earlier, you really don't know what your room looks like. They're all different shapes. So if you bring like a futon and then you're in a really circular room, it's going to be kind of a little awkward to maneuver that.
Also, you can save money and find stuff that upperclassmen are selling and getting rid of as they transition, and you might find the perfect piece for way less than you would pay in the store.
That's very true. We have the black market, which you will find out about. So it's very useful.
All right. So the next question I will give to Caitlin, and then if anyone else wants to add on, feel free. So it is regarding staying on campus during holidays and breaks. So how does that work? Can you make a special request? Are you allowed to stay on campus during breaks? That kind of thing.
So typically the campus will close for holiday breaks such as Thanksgiving, holiday break or winter break, and spring break. There are ways you can stay on campus, such as if you are an RA, you are allowed to stay on campus in the halls if you would like, because we do have some halls open for students. For example, I believe Summit Hall stays open since that sometimes does house international students who can't always go home for just a few days since it's kind of a far trip. So, for example, Summit will stay open. I believe Valcor is one that stays open. Correct me if I'm wrong. But typically most students will go home, and there will be specific times when you have to be out of the hall by. So usually it's Saturday by noon where you have to be out because the halls are technically closed by then. I don't know. Can you make special requests? I'm not sure.
So with a special request, what happens is there are times when there's extenuating circumstances, say a plane gets canceled and you have to stay an extra day or two. Res Life and operations will work to help you find a spot, as well as if you know in advance, they can arrange for you to stay in another room, or say your friend lives in a hall where they are open all the time, you can live with them over the break. Otherwise, they can also work with you to get discounted hotel rates in the area.
Good answer.
Yeah. I know that Melody Brooks always really helps me out because traveling to Tennessee can sometimes be a pain in the ass. And so she always is very accommodating. So if there's anything like super serious going on, or like you really need to stay on campus, like don't worry, Champlain has got you.
Yeah. All right, so we're down to the last few residence hall questions, but we can always come back to this topic if anyone has more. So the last two questions that I will have, really anyone. We kind of stopped going in order, so now I don't know anymore. But Will, you can answer them. I feel like you've answered the least questions. So the first question is, can you bring an electric kettle? And also, anyone can really touch in on this, but should they bring any formal clothes?
All right, sure. I'll start with the kettle. So you're not allowed to bring a kettle, a Keurig, a toaster, a microwave, or anything that really produces heat other than like an iron, yeah, or like a curling iron for your hair or something like that. The thing is, you don't really need any of that stuff in your room. Every dorm has a microwave, and coffee is free in the dining room hall, so I say go get it for free, and then you can save money. Best that way. So none of that stuff's allowed in the rooms, but for formal wear, definitely bring a couple things just because we have the work-study fair. So if you're looking to get a job on campus, that's the best place to do that. So nothing too extreme, maybe like a nice pair of pants and a dress shirt. You don't need to bring like 3 suits or anything like that. And we also have Snowball. What time of the year is that? It's
January.
January. So that's Champlain's annual fiesta. Can someone explain that better than I probably can?
Snowball?
Yeah.
So I went to Snowball last year, and it was an Alice in Wonderland type theme. And there was also another component to it, but it was really fun, and they had it in this really big hotel ballroom, and there was a DJ, and there was really great food, and there were some other activities. There was a photo booth, so that was really great. But it's just a nice time to unwind, and you're all back from winter break, and you get to see all your friends, and it's just a nice time to dress up, and there's no wrong time to dress up, so really, it's a great time.
That's accurate.
Mm-hmm.
So the next kind of group of questions we have are about campus life, and everyone can really answer this question. So what are or you can say, what is your favorite hangout spot on campus?
I can do this one. There's a lot of different places on campus for students to hang out. One of the coolest additions to campus is, of course, our new CCM building, which we're all really, really excited for.
I'm so excited.
Yes, it is so nice. I was just in there today for some training, getting our new tour guides trained on the new layout of the building. So that'll be completed by the time our first year students show up. And in that space, we have our new dining options. So we have 4 new dining options that will be available for students starting this fall. And in that space, there's also tons of seating. There's an outdoor terrace you can utilize when it's not freezing out. So there's a lot of cool places to hang out in that building. We also, of course, have our fireside lounge, which if you toured Champlain, you probably saw that at some point on your tour. That's right near the dining hall. Pretty much anywhere on campus is a good place to hang out. There's no real bad place to hang out. So it's good. Anyone else have good hangout places?
Yeah, I would say as a first year, most of your time is going to be spent in the cafeteria, which sounds weird, but it's not when you think that like everyone in your year has a meal plan. So like you're going to be seeing so many people there. It's kind of like you go to get a cup of coffee and then you end up spending like 5 hours talking to like 5 groups of people.
That's so true.
Weird and insane, but it's good. It's not strange. It's good.
Yeah, I would end up doing my homework in the cafeteria like at lunchtime and then staying there until like late night, which is all night.
And also a lot of people spend a lot of time in the library. I'm a huge nerd, so of course I have to bring that up.
Also the business center, there's really comfy beanbag chairs. You will live there in the SD Island.
All right, so next, if someone wants to talk about cars on campus, so our first year students allowed cars, also talk about the city bus system. So Caitlin, if you want to take that.
Okay, yes, first years are allowed cars on campus. You're allowed a car on campus all 4 years. However, you will probably, most likely, unless there are certain circumstances, you will be parking down at our Lakeside campus, but I believe it's free, and it is free. I'm getting nods. It is free. So there are continuous shuttles running throughout the week, and so it's really accessible to go and get your car. However, I do not suggest bringing your car because we have a lot of other ways to get around, and you get to know the area a lot better when you have to use the bus system, which is free with your Champlain ID card, which is totally awesome. And you get to walk around town. Nothing is really too far away or out of your reach. Church Street is great to walk around, going down to the waterfront. So unless you plan on going home a lot or you plan on going to the mountain every weekend, then that may be a time when you would want your car. But typically I tell students they don't really need it.
Also, gas is really expensive up here. So
Yeah.
Yeah.
yes. From a commuter senior to the first years, don't bring your car.
And also, man, like, for those of you who are not from Vermont, weather in the winter with your car, oh my god, I can't even imagine. It's just like... No.
Also, parking in Burlington is like really just... Downtown is all like metered parking. You better learn how to parallel park. So, yeah. Easier.
Don't bring your car.
Yeah. End of story.
You have that option.
Right.
You have the option.
Like, Don't.
but maybe don't.
All right. What's the next question? How kind of if someone wants to talk about how the mailroom works? So how do you get packages? How do you get letters? Things like that.
Linda is Trill. She is your mailroom goddess. Make fast friends with her. So all your mail, you get assigned a mailroom box your first year, and if you don't become a student leader, that box is going to be yours all 4 years, every time on campus.
We did do away with the box numbers this year. Right?
Oh, what?
Yes, we switched to an awesome new system in which all incoming mail is just identified with your name, and you'll get an email notification, whether it's paper mail, a package, whatever. So that's really convenient for everyone coming in. You don't have to deal with mailboxes and combinations like we did, which is cool. And second semester, that'll be moving into TCM building as well.
Whoa, that's crazy. My mind is blown.
You guys are living the good life, honestly.
Yeah. Packages are also sent through the mailroom. You can find all those addresses if you just Google like Champlain College mailroom. We have a really cool webpage about it. Again, Linda, homegirl extreme.
So the next question is about clubs and sports on campus. So if anyone wants to talk about what kind of clubs or sports they're involved in, like I mentioned, I'm on the Champlain College dance team. So if anyone else is involved in any clubs or sports, or if anyone has heard about any really cool clubs or sports, feel free to talk about that.
So, I'm not the most athletic person in the world, but I was roped into joining rock climbing. That was a pun, and I didn't even intend it, so I hope you're all laughing. So they're really inclusive, and that's really nice because they don't judge you if you can't climb up the wall, which is great, and they're a really nice group of people, and I definitely didn't think it was something I was going to try when I got here, but definitely there's tons of clubs, so just take advantage of that because most of them are paid for through your activities fee. Kirby, correct me if I'm wrong. So that's really awesome, and that was my one club experience.
I know there's a lot of writing things that you can get involved with. Obviously, I'm a pro writing major. I run Chivamingro, which Will helps with. He's my PR dude.
That's me.
Yep, Bay. That's not necessarily a club, but there are lots of things that you can get involved with on campus. I know that we have a literary magazine. We have readings that happen all the time, like poetry readings, fiction readings. We have a lot of intramural sports. Rugby is a huge one. And also our Champlain ski and ride team, very big. Also very cool. There are a lot of clubs. Just parkour, that's a really cool one. Yeah. I hear about that one a lot. People are like, I'm going to parkour. And I'm like, you're a lot fitter than I am, mentally and physically. Yeah, there's a lot of opportunities to get involved with. And we're going to have an activities fair within the first couple weeks, I think. And you can go into the Argosy gym, I think, is the tentative place for that, and then walk around and kind of see what's up.
So student government runs all the clubs on our campus, and right now we have about 60 clubs that you can join. And if you're wondering about creating your own club, basically all you'll need to do is fill out a form that you can find on our website and get 10 members or 10 people to say that they'll be members of your group and come to us with a request for funding, and it'll be brought to our SGA Senate, voted upon, and hopefully passed so that you'll have a brand new club here at Champlain.
And yeah, there are so many things.
We have Quidditch.
Quidditch. Yeah. We have an improv team that you can join. The improv shows are amazing. Yeah, so many things. SGA, you should join that. It's awesome. Nod to you.
So the next two questions are about food. Naturally, I'm sure that's something we're all very passionate about. So the first one is if anyone has any microwave cooking tips that they would like to share.
I got one.
Oh my gosh, Kirby, let's go.
Please, 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 from one fellow student to another, take the wrapper off. Put water in the mac and cheese and by it.
Also, don't burn your popcorn.
Yes, do not burn your
If
popcorn.
you burn your popcorn, the fire alarm will go off and everyone in your res hall will be upset with you. So don't do it. Don't be that guy or girl. No one likes it.
Man, invest in some Easy Mac. You really need to invest in some Easy Mac.
And when you get sick of Easy Mac, buy soup.
Yeah.
Soup is good. Ramen is great. I would recommend that.
Throw
Stale
some frozen
pizza.
meals in the mini fridge. You're good.
Please remember that metal is not microwavable. That's important.
You're looking at the screen like, why are they bringing this up? But like, you have no idea.
No idea.
It'll be February, and there'll be 4 feet of snow, and you'll be sound asleep at 3 a.m., and someone didn't follow one of our tips, and the fire alarms go off.
Someone will do it. It will happen.
It happens every year.
I did it last year. I'll admit it.
No! Real.
You weren't there. Oh, Caitlin used to be my RA.
It's true.
All right. So the next question is, what are some of your favorite and least favorite foods that you've had in the dining hall?
Good question.
Can I take this one?
Yeah.
Okay, honestly, I don't think the food here is that bad. Like, people like to rag on, like, any college's, like, cafeteria. They like to be like, oh, the food here sucks. Like, I think that's just, like, something people think is cool to do. But I don't think, like, I'm not a picky eater. I mean, look at me. So I don't really think anything here is that bad, but, like, they always have cereal. We always have a salad bar. There's always a sandwich bar. There's always a vegetarian and vegan option. There's always burgers. Like, who doesn't like a burger? Unless you're a vegetarian. But, like, they always have the essentials, you know what I mean? So, like, you can get that.
And if you can't find anything else, you can always just have some ice cream or like cereal. There's definitely something, so don't worry about it.
Or water.
Or water. They have great water.
As a picky eater, I've never had a problem eating in the dining hall, so I think if I can live here and like still be alive and well, then I think anybody can, because I didn't have a sandwich until I got to college. So, you know, and I'm doing just fine. We don't need to talk about that now.
I definitely suggest getting up and going to the breakfast, because they make some
It is so good.
things for breakfast. You just have to actually get up and get there before 9:30.
Yeah, breakfast in the middle of the year is amazing because no one goes. And so if you go, you like get just like it's just so good. And also Denise, she runs our sandwich bar and she can hook a girl up. Like, very good. The only thing that I would warn you about is like if you notice that we have chicken nuggets at late night and then the next day we have General Tso's chicken, be careful. That is the only thing. That's the
Too
only
real, Molly. Too real.
I know. Trying to be honest, man.
Also, the new dining hall in the CCM building is going to have Auntie Anne's pretzels, so I can already tell you that you're going to find me there every single day.
I'm finding out things.
Yeah. So now we're going to start talking about Burlington, which, if you don't know, I hope you know, is the city where Champlain College is located. So the first question is, what are some of your favorite hangout places in Burlington? Anyone can answer. Everyone can answer.
There are so many. Burlington is a really, really cool city. It's just, there are so many cool things. You have all these different coffee shops, Muddy Waters, Speeder and Earl's. Church Street is amazing. If you travel outside of Church Street, also amazing. UVM is right up the hill from us, so it's just basically like all these businesses are like, we want to cater to college students, and we're like, yes, cater to us.
I would definitely say Pine Street. So many things to do.
Mm-hmm.
So many awesome restaurants that a lot of people don't know about, and a lot of fun things to do. And it's like along the bike path, so you can work out while you're eating lots of food.
I think we should go down the line and everyone should say their favorite restaurant in Burlington, starting with Caitlin.
My favorite restaurant? Can it just be favorite food in general?
Okay.
Okay, great. So I'm on an ice cream kick right now, and Ben & Jerry's is by far my favorite place. Like, if I could go down there every single day, I would. If I could eat a Vermonster by myself, which I can't, but I wish I could, I would eat one every single day. So Ben
You
and
want to explain what a Vermonster is?
Oh
for
my
someone who
gosh,
might not
okay.
know?
So it's a huge bucket, and it's 20 scoops of ice cream, and you can pick your toppings. They give you a sheet, like a little tiny sheet, to fill out what you want, and you pick 5 different flavors of ice cream, and then you can put all these different toppings on it, like gummy bears, and there's cookies and brownies and sprinkles, and you can like substitute, like if you don't want bananas, you can substitute extra rainbow sprinkles. They are so accommodating. And then usually I went with 5 people, so there were 5 of us, so I definitely recommend like at least 5, because if it was by yourself, that's a lot of ice cream. And then there's like a layer of whipped cream, and you can have hot fudge and caramel, and it is so good. 10 out of 10 recommend. Would eat it every day if I could.
So like a great lunch spot.
Ben and Jerry's.
Kirby, do you have any restaurant recommendations?
I would definitely say try Vermont Pub and Brewery. They have amazing.
Yes, I agree. It's great.
And then cap that off with going to My Little Cupcake. Oh my gosh, best little cupcake you'll
Oh my
eat.
God.
You just hold it in your hand and you don't want to eat it, and then you just eat it.
Greatest cupcake flavors ever.
I can tell that Molly's talking, but your mic is turned off.
Oops. Okay. So I'm telling you guys this with the hopes that most of you have left. Henry Street Deli is a godsend. If you get a sandwich there, it's literally as big as your freaking face. It's amazing, and it's so cheap. The breakfast sandwiches are amazing. It's a little bit of a walk from campus, which is why most people who you talk to, they're like, what is that? Not Henry Street Diner, Henry Street Deli. It is so good. The sandwiches are so cheap, and they are so large.
And Henry Street Diner, also very good.
Yeah, still very good. Totally different, but still
Totally different, but yeah. Anyone else got a restaurant they really feel passionate about? I have a lot.
I would also say Vermont Pub and Brewery. It is my most favorite restaurant, mainly because the food is really inexpensive and really great.
Mm-hmm.
So definitely check that out. But pretty much anywhere you go, you're probably going to have good food, because Burlington, there's a bunch of foodies, and they really love their food. So no matter where you end up, you'll probably have a great meal. So definitely take the time to check out all the restaurants and late night options and all the cool things.
Yeah, totally. I'm a sophomore, and I'm still discovering new places. I went to Red Onion.
Oh, so good.
Yeah, I went there for the first time 2 days ago, and I had a sandwich, and it was so big I couldn't even finish it. It was like $9, so you and a friend could go and split it, and that's so cheap. And they have like a little garden you can sit in, and it's really cool. You can take Instagram pictures, and all your friends from home will be jealous of you in your new life.
So one restaurant that I want to mention is Skinny Pancake, which
Oh my
is
God.
a little bit of a walk. It's closer to the waterfront, but it's all crepes, dessert crepes, and savory crepes. They also have other things, but they're less important than the crepes. So good. Yeah. So lots of restaurants. I'm a senior, and I'm still discovering new restaurants.
That
So
is true.
It's never ending.
yeah,
Like,
you
oh,
will
I
spend
see what
all
you
of your money on food. Probably.
True.
All right. So next question is back to the transportation question. So what kind of transportation do we have around here that doesn't just go within Burlington, but different places that'll go, like planes, trains, buses, that'll go out of state?
I can talk to this because I've figured out every possible way to get out of the state. So there are plenty of bus options if you need to get anywhere. There's Greyhound and Megabus, which go to the 2 major city hubs of Boston and New York City, and you get pretty much anywhere from there. There's also Burlington International Airport, and they have flights. They have direct flights to New York City, Washington, D.C., and I believe somewhere in the Midwest. Flights to New York City are generally under $100, which I found out. So I often take flights home because they're cheaper than the gas sometimes, which is crazy. But flights are a good option. And of course, you can drive here, rent a car.
There's Amtrak.
There's Amtrak. That's a good one too. Yeah.
All right. The next question is about winter. So what are some tips that you all have for surviving our very cold winters?
Yeah, Kirby and we have.
Well,
I know you, Kirby.
I remember freshman year, I messaged my core class because it was 20 degrees out. It's never 20 degrees out in Texas.
Yeah, this is
And
my
I asked them what I should do. How was I supposed to wear 2 pairs of pants? And so we had this nice discussion on Facebook. And I will say, you want layers, 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 layers. The inside is roasting. You will roast. And you need to practice, if you're from out of state, the quick getting it all back on, because otherwise you're like late to class because it's taking so long to get all the layers back on. But
so true.
plan ahead, layers, practice the timing of getting it all on and off.
The best tip I learned, Kirby's from Texas, I'm from Tennessee, so I can tell that we feel really strongly about this. We're just like, because it was like a real struggle. Layers is so true, and also if you're a lady, this is kind of maybe too much information, but you should layer on your tights, like wear 2 to 3 pairs. It actually really helps. And it's weird because like when you're inside, you don't feel really hot, but when you're outside, you can't really tell that you're wearing 3 pairs of tights. It also makes it look like you haven't gained the winter weight. So it's just like, oh yeah, I totally kept my summery body.
Right, also are very nice.
Yeah. And then I would say invest in a good coat, which I did not do. My first year, I was like, oh, whatever, I have this Forever 21 coat. I'm cool. No, you really need to get a waterproof coat because what happens is you go inside and then all of the snow that fell on you outside starts to melt. So by the time you have to go back out again, it's like your coat is wet. This is coming from a girl who got hypothermia like twice my freshman year.
Bean boots.
Oh my gosh. Yeah.
I'm such a proponent of bean boots. So they're a little bit on the pricier side, but they are so good and they keep your feet so warm and they are like great for walking in ice and you're less likely to slip. At least I'm less likely to slip and I'm really clumsy, so that's a good thing. And I also suggest vests because in the fall sometimes you don't need the winter jacket, you don't need the down jacket yet, but you need like another layer as the other ladies were saying. So, get yourself a nice down vest. Men and women can wear vests.
Great fashion advice, Caitlin.
And for my alternative, I know you're out there, Doc Martens are basically the punk rock version of bean boots. Both,
I'm with you, Molly.
Yeah, both have like lifetime warranties or whatever, so it's like if your soles get fucked up, you can just send them back in.
Regardless, go for boots that have some sort of grip on the bottom. Don't go the fashion route all the time because I have slid from one end of Maple Street to the other.
Kirby, that has happened to me as well.
If I had a dollar
I'm pretty
for
sure
every
that's happened to
time
every single one of us.
down the IDX hill.
Yes,
So real. Yeah, you're going to fall a little bit, but it'll make you stronger.
It's fun. Everyone's doing it.
Yep. Okay, so next question, if you want to go skiing or snowboarding, do any of you ski or snowboard? Can answer this question.
I went
once.
I used to.
Great. So the question is, when do ski slopes open, and should they bring ski and winter stuff, including coats and things like that, when they move in, or wait until later?
I want you guys to know that what you're seeing right here is the first inaccurate representation of our college that you've seen because there are so many snowboarders and skiers here. It's insane. If you're from here, I would say wait until fall break and grab it when you go for fall break.
Also, if you don't, oh, sorry, who's talking?
That's okay, you go.
Also, if you're not from the area, Champlain has really cheap passes for Sugar Bush. You can only pay $30 and it's for the whole season. And I ended up not bringing my skis even though I live close by, and I went there and I told them I was from Champlain. They let me rent skis and poles, I think, for less than $20, which is crazy. So, I mean, if you're only going to do it a couple times, if you're not like a crazy skier like me, just rent them there. It's not that expensive. And Champlain Ski and Ride posts in their Facebook group all the time about shuttles, and if you need a ride, you just post in there like, hey, who's going to Sugar Bush on Saturday, and I can almost guarantee someone will give you a are there. So.
Always.
Also, back to whether or not you should bring everything at first, what I always do, my parents usually come up for family weekend, which is like the third weekend in September. So if you don't have room in your car to bring all of your stuff, bring half of it up the first during orientation, and then have your parents bring the rest up family weekend or fall break or Columbus Day weekend or something like that.
And I would say, like, vaguely related, not all the way related, but if you're like, oh, well, I'll get my winter break or my winter coat over winter break, don't. You need it before mid-October. A lot of times it snows on Halloween, which is just really depressing, but life. So you really do need to have it before middle of October, or you'll make the same mistake that I made 3 times in a row. This year I
We're
learned.
supposed to have a really bad winter this year too. I don't know
Yeah,
how
I
they know
heard
that.
that too. Don't say it.
I don't know how they know that though.
I don't know.
So who knows? I'm lying.
All right, next question is kind of back to campus life, but is there a gymnastics area near Champlain, and is there somewhere that has like open gym time, and how close is it? Does anyone know anything about like gyms in the area? I don't do sports.
There is a YMCA downtown. Does it have it?
So there's a place called Gym Star Gymnastics, which is in Shelburne, which is just a little ways away. It's sort of like a commercial center, which is just a little bit south of Burlington. And they do have open gym currently, according to their website. Open gym is available at certain hours for a $7 fee, so you can use it for an hour. There's also a number of other gyms. I know some people who do gymnastics, so if you're into that, you can probably find it somewhere. The same thing goes for like pretty much any interest. If we don't have it at Champlain, there's probably somewhere around here that can cater to your interests. So just a quick Google search is usually helpful with that.
And I would even say, even like taking the gymnastics out of it, we do have a gym. It's not like a gymnastics-esque gym, but it is like you got your ellipticals and your treadmills, your weightlifting, so you can get super swole, and it's nice. And you should definitely take advantage of it. We have like yoga classes and all these. We have, what is it? Paige, you would know more about this, I feel like, because
They have Zumba and stuff.
Yeah, Zumba.
Zumba. Yeah.
So we have lots of different classes you can take. If you, like me, I was like, what is yoga? I'm going to try it out. I tried it out, and I was like, oh my gosh, I'm really not flexible. But it was free through Champlain, so it was like, I'm glad I tried.
And they have a couple different times, too, so it's flexible with your schedules.
All right, so now moving on to the academics portion of this Google Hangout, which is what we're all here for after all. So the first question can go to any of our PAs. I know a lot of us have been PAs. But the question is, how is class registration done after your first semester?
Whoa, great question. I feel like I've been answering a lot of questions, though, so does someone else want to grab it, or is it like, okay?
I feel like, Molly, you actually helped me with this since you were my PA.
I did. I was Williams.
You do it, Molly.
So your freshman year, you meet with your academic advisor. Mine is Warren Baker, the true OG. He's amazing. You meet with your academic advisor, and you're like, this is what I think I am. Maybe. I was undeclared when I first came in, so I had to figure out what my classes were going to be so that I could get started with pro writing and things like that. But they help you set up a class schedule so that you aren't totally off your kilter, like, I was really interested in this business class, and then you get to senior year, and it's like, actually, I'm really behind on credits, or whatever. So your advisor is there to kind of guide you through, and then you have peer advisors, like myself, and Will, who's also a PA, to kind of help you register and figure out what WebAdvisor is like. And it's not that complicated of a process. I'm not going to explain it now because your humans like me and Will are going to help you in the later this fall, but it's a very simple process, and your advisor helps you to pick all the classes you're interested in, and then people like Will and I are there to help you make sure you register on time and for classes, like we'll give you advice. Like some advice that I give all my small humans is that it's less about your time than it is about your professors, which you guys will find out firsthand. So you'll have a lot of help, and honestly, don't stress about it yet. There's no need.
Yeah, you have a long ways to go before that, but once that time comes, I mean, all your PAs will help you with that. It's really not that stressful. I think Champlain actually does a good way of picking classes, and you're able to look at the description of each class, the professor, all that good stuff, so you know what you're getting into before you get into it.
All right, so we actually have a few live questions that we're going to answer, intermission between the pre-planned ones. So the first question is asking more about the pricing of season passes for snowboarding and skiing. So the specific question is, I heard you can get season passes for $60, true or false. So does anyone have an answer for that?
Yes. So that is true, except it's even better. You can get a season pass to Mount Ellen for just a $30 processing.
What?
Sugarbush. So that's really cool. You can also get access to even more mountains at discounted prices for students. So that's very nice. Anyone else have anything to add?
What?
No one else has anything to add, right?
And then another question we got is actually if we do this Google Hangout every year. And this is actually our first one, so hopefully we seem like we're pros at it, but we're not. But hopefully this seems to be going really well, so hopefully this will start to be a once-a-year tradition, but we'll see.
And I know earlier Colleen McDermott asked, hardest freshman class you took? Does anyone have an answer to that? It depends on your major.
For sure.
Yeah.
I don't even remember freshman year. It was so long ago.
I mean, first semester is kind of different because you don't get to pick your core professors, so you kind of get thrown into that. So I don't know if I'm going to get in trouble for saying this. I don't think the workload I'm a public relations major, so it's definitely different for everyone. I shouldn't categorize people. But I didn't think my workload first semester was that hard. Like, teachers know that this is your first semester in college. It's transition period, so they're not going to slam you with anything, I don't think, too crazy. But, I mean, it's a transition period. It's hard. But I remember one of my core classes, he was just a hard grader. I'm not going to say his name. That's rude.
Yeah, don't. That's very rude.
No, I'm not going to say his name. But I had a hard grader. I mean, it's just something you have to work through. You're going to face that in college, I think, no matter what. So, life, man.
I would say for me, the hardest class I took, again, I declared halfway through my freshman year, so I actually took this class as a sophomore, but it's supposed to be a freshman class, is Intro to Pro Writing, which can be very difficult, especially, like, for me, I came from a high school that was a little bit behind some of the northeastern high schools, and so I definitely had to, this is embarrassing, I'm telling you guys this out of confidence, and you can't judge me, but I didn't know what apostrophes technically did with possessives and non-possessives and a lot of other small grammar things like that. I definitely have learned now. I work at the Writing Center. Come see me. Hey, what's up? But it's just all about you and what your weaknesses are. And for me, one of my big weaknesses was grammar, and that class really whipped me into shape and is actually one of the reasons that I got my Writing Center job, so that's very cool. But as long as you're willing to push yourself and you're open to learning new things, I think a lot of the times you're going to find those really hard classes to be the most rewarding.
I think there wasn't one specific class that was hard. I think what is sometimes hard about it is that you'll get a lot of assignments at the same time, and I know some professors try not to schedule you too much, but like I'm a psych major, and one of my classes, I was writing a 7-page paper every single week, and so on top of that with 4 other classes, the biggest thing that I had to learn was time management, and that's not something that they teach you in a class. That's just something you develop over your first year, but the professors help you, and we have academic coaching, which will work with you with organization skills and scheduling, etc. So I think that's one of the biggest things that students kind of learn and realize very quickly is that you need to be able to manage your time because you'll get a flood of assignments at some point.
Yeah, and if you find yourself struggling with the written content, we do have a writing center, which, again, I work at. And we have tons of hours. I know I'm working Sunday, Mondays, Tuesdays, 5 to 8 at the Coolidge Center. So if you need any help, please don't hesitate to come by and be like, Molly, please read this paper. Like, I don't know what I'm doing. And I'll be like, yo, I was there.
We do also have a math and accounting lab, so for the same kind of thing, but for math and accounting, and an oral presentation lab for any speeches or anything that you might have to give also. And along the same veins, we also got asked any tips we have for surviving midterms and finals.
Drink coffee.
Don't put everything until the last minute.
Yeah, which is, you're like, of course I'm not going to, but you will.
A lot of things are projects because not every class just gives you a midterm test. So that's a lot of planning as well, back to the time management thing. So don't leave like a project that you're supposed to be working on all semester to the night or 48 hours before, because that will be very, very difficult to get done.
So we're actually going to say goodbye to Kirby because she has to go to a meeting. But
Bye,
thank you
Kirby.
for joining us.
Everyone.
See you soon.
Does anyone else have an answer for that question?
Yeah, just stay on top of your stuff. In your first year, there's really no reason that you would need to pull an all-nighter to get any work done. If you manage your time properly, there's no reason to do that, especially at Champlain. And so that's maybe a common college myth, is that you'll be pulling all-nighters left and right, and you have crazy schedules and things like that. That really doesn't happen unless you don't manage your time properly. So if you spread out your work over a lot of time period, I didn't have to pull a single all-nighter and had plenty of time to do other things. So you shouldn't have to do that or worry about that.
True.
I definitely, as a writing major, had to pull several all-nighters just because you get a lot of, it's different for every major.
Yeah, the business majors are all different.
Yeah, so like writing majors, like sometimes you're going to get 20-page papers that you got to do, and then in another class you have like a 12-page paper, and then in your core class you have like an 8-page paper, and you're like, oh my god, why? But it's like very manageable, and also a trick that I tell everyone isn't that it's not that big of a trick because you hear it all the time freshman year, but I didn't understand that I should do it until sophomore year, which is go to academic coaching, man. They really help you get your shit together. Because I just like couldn't, I don't know, I did time management, but I was very much like, like this is making me so freaking anxious just thinking about this. Yeah, Margaret Overman at academic coaching, and she was just like, oh, well, let's talk about it. Let's talk about what you think you're going to do for this. And I'm like, oh my god, Moverman, you help me in every day of my life.
Do the worst first.
Yeah, do the worst first. Seriously. So
You're going to want to put off the worst until last, but don't do it.
Mm-hmm.
yeah, great tip, Will.
That's my 2 cents.
All right. So the last category that we have going on here is our own personal experiences at Champlain. So the first question is, can you all each share your first impressions of Champlain, maybe based on tours that you went on or Facebook groups, etc., and then versus your opinions of Champlain now, being whatever year you are?
Should we start in order?
I'm back.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah, do you want to start, or are you?
nah, I'm good. Okay. So my first impression when I came here, I came in the summer and I went to go to an info session and the technology wasn't working, so I just sat there for 45 minutes while someone blabbed in my ear about this college that was like my 10th college visit. Then I went on a tour and no one was here and everything was pretty much closed, and the thing that I was most concerned about was not fitting in because I didn't ski or snowboard bored, and I was scared that I'm not a huge, like, camping, nature-y person, and I was like, well, I'm in Vermont, like, people camp in Vermont, and the tour guide that I had made sure to reiterate that, like, there are so many different people here. And so my opinion now has changed so much. And so when people ask me on tour, like, what's the social life here? Will I fit in? My opinion's definitely different now than it was when I first stepped on campus. So that is that answer. And yes, that's my answer.
Will, do you want to go?
Sure. I actually heard about Champlain when I was at a tour at UVM. So I was touring UVM, and I'm from like 2 hours away in the Adirondacks, so I've been to Burlington before. I was like, I really think Burlington's a cool college town, but I never actually heard about Champlain. So I went to UVM, really didn't like it. I have a lot of friends at UVM. UVM's cool, just wasn't for me. So it was like 12 p.m. and I was like, well, we're here, like, what are we gonna do? And we were just like walking by, like, on Church Street, or like the hill, you'll learn about the hill, at the top of the hill. And I saw the Champlain College sign, and we actually ended up going right into admissions, learned about it a little bit, and I actually ended up going on a tour that day, fell in love with it. I just love Champlain. I could talk about this for hours. I came here, I used to be, I don't know, I'm like a weird, awkward person. I don't know how to talk to people, but this is like the most inclusive and like accepting crowd ever. And I know that's so cliche, and like you expect us to say that, but there's not one mean person here. Maybe, but I don't think so. Everyone's so nice. I love Champlain. That's all I have to say. It's so great, and I'm moving here this summer, so like I love it.
Man, if you guys are like, that's total, like, I met Will. It's been that way since day one.
I just love it here.
That's good here.
We all love it here.
Yes, we all love it here, or else we wouldn't be here. So.
Yeah.
That's very true. I guess I'll go. So my story is a little weird because I definitely skipped my senior prom. Again, I'm from Tennessee. I skipped my senior prom to come on a road trip here that I didn't tell my parents about. Hey, Mom and Dad, I'm sorry. And so I was like here with 2 other people and who were from Tennessee, and like we're kind of like, we just did this kind of to piss people off. Like, we didn't really think that you were actually going to go here for real. And I went to this class, I guess, question thing where people could ask questions, and it was April, so it was still cold there, but April in Tennessee is like 75 degrees, so I was wearing maybe, at best, a very light jacket. And one of the first questions I asked was, is it always this cold? Like, is this always the weather? And everyone kind of laughed, and they were like, yeah, it's always the weather. And so after that, I was like, oh, I don't know, like, this weather is a big deal to me. But then as my decision got closer and I met and interacted with people more online, I realized that a lot of my kind of reservations were mostly nerves. And when I got to campus, I found it to be, even though I lived in the farthest dorm from campus, I lived at North House, which is no longer a freshman dorm. I found it to be incredibly welcoming, very open, and as a senior, I'm really thankful that I chose this school because it's given me a lot of really cool opportunities. Like, I just got back from working at McSweeney's in San Francisco, which is like an indie publisher. So 4 years ago, I couldn't even like imagine working in publishing, let alone knowing like Dave Eggers and those people who started McSweeney's. So it was a very weird experience for me to look back because, like, 18-year-old Molly, I was just like, I don't know if I'm gonna go to college. Like, who knows? And like, here I am still. So it's an amazing place to be.
That was way better than mine.
Shut up, Will. That's not true.
That like made me cry.
All right, so sidetrack for a second because we just got another question in live time. So the question is, does the Ski and Ride Club have shuttles all the time to Sugarbush and sometimes to different mountains?
So the answer to that one is our student activities department sponsors a weekend shuttle that runs on either a Saturday or a Sunday for pretty much every weekend throughout the winter season. That bus is on a first come first served basis, however. So the earlier you sign up for that, you can drive to your spot and you're all good. If you don't get on the bus, it's no worries. There's usually plenty of people driving there, so you can find a ride with someone. Some people really make their schedules so that they have days off of the week that they just use to go skiing and snowboarding. So you can usually find people that are who can take you there. There is public transportation available. I don't know how well it works to actually get to the specific mountains, but there's really no lack of transportation, so you'll be fine.
Good answer, Silas. Thank you. So the next question is, if there was one thing you could do differently your first year to make it successful, more successful, what would you do differently?
Okay, so I have one. So today I learned a lot about all of the other majors that are offered at Champlain, and I know the divisions and I know kind of what's out there, but we kind of went in depth today about what really you can do with the other majors. And so I think what I would have wanted to do my first year is look at all of the other options as well, because I'm realizing now that I think I would have liked to double major and maybe not have added a minor, which is fine. I have a minor in communication, and that's great. But there's just so many things that I want to do, and Champlain gives you so many options. And with the upside-down curriculum, you can do so much right from the start. So it's very easy to just take a class and figure out if you're going to like it, if it fits into your schedule. So I think that's something that I would have wanted to do looking back now that I only have 2 years left. Yes, that's it.
That is a great point. Certainly make sure you know what you want to do. It's okay if you don't know what you want to do. But explore all the options out there. Don't wait until it's too late to make a change. Certainly look at what's out there. That's what I can say. I originally thought I was going to be a graphic design major, and I ended up being a business major. And I'm very glad that I made that switch. Definitely take a look at what your options are.
Yeah, I mean, when I came to Champlain, just like a lot of other people, I was really nervous, and my biggest fear was that I wasn't going to make friends. So I was kind of reserved for the first couple days. But after that, you just start meeting people, so don't be afraid to reach out and talk to people, because everyone's in the same boat as you, and everyone's new to this, everyone's scared, so just...
Fun fact, if I didn't reach out and meet new people, I wouldn't be roommates with Will right now, so that is a good way to meet people. Just go out there and meet people. Don't be afraid to do that.
Yeah, and it's always going. You're going to find your little friend group, but don't be afraid to just reach out, make new friends. It's so cool. I meet new people every day, so awesome. Cool.
And then would anyone want to say their favorite thing about Champlain, if you could pick? I know it's hard. We all love Champlain.
Whoa. Can I backtrack for the last question just for 1 second? Don't stress so much. I was an anxiety-filled human freshman year, just a walking pot of anxiety. And now I'm about to graduate, and I've done some really cool things, had some really great internships, have a pretty high GPA, but freshman year I was oh my god, I'm gonna fail at everything, nothing is working, I'm never gonna get an internship or a job, I don't know what I want to do, what's going on with my life, and I know that Google kind of wore this out, but things get better, man, they really do. You definitely get to know who you are and what's going on. So.
Okay, so can we go to the favorite thing?
Yeah.
Okay, so I love everything about Champlain. Trust me, if you see me on tour day, I'm like an Energizer bunny, as people call me, so like, don't get me wrong, love this school. So one thing that is the greatest is that it is so easy to get job opportunities here, and like I've had so many good experiences with things that apply to what I want to do afterwards. So I want to work in admissions or higher education after I graduate, and I applied to be a student ambassador, and now I give tours and I work in admissions, and that's directly related to what I want to do. So everybody is very nice and will help you get a job, which I think is great, because you should always just have a job if you can, if time allows for it, because it's just experience that you have to build upon and fill your resume with, and who doesn't want an awesome resume? Am I right? Mm-hmm. I'm right. I know I'm right.
Also on that same kind of point, I think that one of my favorite things about Champlain is our career services office, and just in general the amount of advisors that you have at Champlain. So I have become really close to my career advisor, and she knows what I'm interested in, and every time she sees a job posting that she thinks I might be interested in, she sends it my way without me even really having to ask, which is so great. I've also made really great relationships with a lot of my professors just through having them for classes, which is a really good thing about having a small class size, because you really get to know your professors, and if you end up really liking them, you can go back to them and meet with them anytime, even if you're not currently in their class, just to talk about your plans after graduation or for the entire year or things like that. I've definitely used my professors as a resource for that kind of thing. So I think that you're just surrounded by really great resources and just really great people here. So
yeah, I think your professors are one of easily best parts of Champlain. Like Warren Baker and Eric Schonstrom, Tanya Stone, like so many good. Your core professors are amazing. Gary Scudder. They all want to help you. They all weirdly care about you. You're like, whoa, you care about me? I'm just a student. And they're like, we believe in you. And you're like, this is awesome. So honestly, your professors, you get to know them. You become very close with them. And they really help to like steer you in the right path.
Yeah, totally. Just to snowball off of that, I mean, we're all going to college to like get a job and that kind of stuff. And you go to some schools. I toured a couple schools. And at the end of the day, like, Champlain, they care about you, man. Like, they want you to succeed. Like, my advisor touches base with me over the summer, like, hey, how's it going? How's work going? Like, are you thinking about internships for next year? Like, some schools, they don't do that, and that's just, like, straight facts. So, Champlain, they want you to do good, so you can tell them how great your college was.
So if no one has anything, anyone else adding?
I got a question from
Noah.
It's a really good question. Best time to hit the library, man.
Any time is a good time.
All times are good times for the library.
Literally,
question like talks to me. Like if you go, well, it's a really great library and there's lots of choices. So like, but your busiest times are going to be after 8. That's actually when the most people are there. If you go around dinner time, you get the best spots because everyone's like, we're hungry, and it's like, oh, but I'm going to snag this really sweet study room, 5:30 in the afternoon. This is all me. At least that's what I find. I don't know. I'm a library nerd.
The third floor is the best because you can look at the lake too, and those seats are always taken. So if you see an open one, get it.
I usually like to go to the ground floor of the library. You don't get cell service down there, so if you really have to work, that is a prime place, prime real estate, the library. And also it's really quiet, and you can just sit in the stacks, and I just love being surrounded by books, so I'll literally just sit down there and write like a 10-page paper. Like if you're looking for me, that's where I am. So also I'm working at the library, so come visit me, say hi.
Any other suggestions? That we also got asked best time to hit the dining hall. So anyone have any answers for that one?
So I think it's going to be a little bit different now because we have the new dining options. And typically, for at least lunch, I know, I would always go at 11:20, 11:30 if I could, if I didn't have a class, because they start serving lunch at 11:30, I believe, or that was what they used to do. And so that was also a really good time because you could scope out all the options and get like first pickings of whatever was there. But now that we have the new dining options, I'm not really sure how that's going to go, but I think it's going to be go really well because it will open up spaces, and now you have more options, which is even better. And who doesn't want to eat pretzels for lunch, breakfast, and dinner?
Of course.
Accurate. So I think we're going to end this with everyone, if you have any other moving in tips or just general first year tips for the students.
I have a great moving tip. So the first year that I moved in, I put a lot of my stuff in those big plastic bins. And when I got here, I realized I had a bunch of big empty plastic bins, which were very not useful. So I had to make my mom drag them home, which just wasn't fun for her. So my suggestion would be to use cardboard boxes or moving boxes that can easily be flattened and then reassembled when you need to move out at the end of the year. And that way you have those for use throughout the year. That was one thing that I found super useful when moving this year. So that's a good tip. And my other tip, just in general, is if you don't know something or you have a question, you should just ask whoever you're around, because Champlain is one of the coolest places. So there's almost like a 0% chance that someone's going to be like, yo, screw off, like I'm not going to answer your question. So if you have a question, don't think you're stupid by asking a question, because I'm sure we all ask some dumb question like, oh, where is this classroom? Or, oh, what time does that open? Or how can I get help with this? So really, just go ask your question. And if you don't feel comfortable talking to someone, certainly any of us can help you. You can post in the Facebook group, message us on Facebook. There's plenty of ways to get in contact with any of the student leaders, your PAs, your RAs. There's so many resources for you at Champlain, so just take advantage of them. That's all I can say.
I also recommend that you just introduce yourself to everybody and anybody that you see. Literally, I would go around and be like, hi, my name is Caitlin. Hi, my name is Caitlin. I live here. And I was a broken record for the first week, but then by Parents' Weekend, I knew like hundreds of people, and my parents were so impressed with my networking skills, and that was really cool. So definitely just don't be afraid to say hi to people, because we're all friendly and we don't bite, and we're all people.
Nice, Caitlin. I would say that I would agree with Caitlin. Like, you definitely want to meet as many people as possible within the first, I would even say 2 to 3 weeks. Just because people are so open during that time, you're all getting here at the same time, and so you're all like, we want friends. And it's like really great to get to know as many people as possible so you can kind of maybe figure out where you fit best. Also, I think, don't be scared to talk to upperclassmen. We're just humans, just humans hanging out. Try to leave your dorm room door open as much as you can so that you can get to know the other people in your hall. Those guys are going to be your BFFs. Also, I feel like, I'm at least speaking for me, feel free to add me on Facebook or like say hello.
Same.
Yes, add me on Facebook.
Yeah, or be like, Molly, you're such a freaking nerd. You embarrassed yourself. I'm cool with it. I'll listen.
Yeah, everyone said exactly what I was thinking. Like, we're all in this together. It's cool. I didn't know what I was doing, and I asked people, and they helped me. So it's cool, man.
We're friendly, I promise.
There's also less cool advice, but it really helped me. It's less cool, so if you're like, cool, it's not. In terms of academics, a lot of stuff comes up your freshman year. There are things that happen and things that get in the way, and if you are going to be late with a paper, don't hesitate to reach out to your professor and be like, yo, I literally just need like 2 more days on this, and you'd be kosher. So just like, if you ever, don't be scared to talk to your professor. If you talk to them, they will know what's going on and be much more helpful than if you don't tell them and then you just don't turn stuff in. Because if you don't tell them what's going on and you don't turn anything in, it just kind of looks like you're thumbing your nose at them. But if you are like, yo, I have a family crisis going on, or like, yo, my roommate is and I are having a little bit of a tiff and it's really stressing me out and I didn't get your paper done on time, they want you to learn. So they're really interested in kind of coming to a middle ground with you. So never hesitate to talk to them.
Good one.
Okay,
All right.
Paige.
Okay, Caitlin.
Is there anything else?
That's all the questions that we have. So anyone watching this, if you do have more questions, definitely post them in the Facebook group. You can message any of us. And
shout out to all the people that have already added me in the past 2 minutes on Facebook.
Did anyone add me? I'm fun. Please. I like friends.
So
Yes,
yeah.
if you have any more questions, please reach out to us. This should be on YouTube, so you can view it and whatnot. But yeah, we'll see you in a few days.
Yeah, and thanks for tuning in. We really appreciate your viewership. All right, signing off.
All right.
Bye.
Bye.